My preferred way of playing Dungeons and Dragons is with miniatures and battle maps. And I have a favorite way to do that. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about something that I am very passionate about and spend way too much time on for no reason. Sometimes I like to just play around with it, and that is Hero Forge. Now, this video is not sponsored. I'm not a big enough channel for that. And it's going to be tough one day if I become a big enough channel and a different miniature company wants to sponsor me. But this is my genuine favorite miniature website. I've tried a lot of different websites, and I do think there are negatives to Hero Forge. But I wanted to give a big overview and then talk about my favorite thing on Hero Forge right now. Hint, it's not going to be the new dice. I think it's a cool idea to buy the dice as like a present or something. I'm not buying dice with my mini inside of it, so it's not something that necessarily appeals to me. So most of this video is going to be a screen recording of the Hero Forge website, which is not a bad thing because I think I kind of look a little rough today. So it's going to be a screen recording of the Hero Forge website with just me talking over it. So I hope you guys enjoy this. And like I said, at the end of the video, I'll be talking about something that I love on Hero Forge right now that I don't think gets enough recognition. So this is Hero Forge, and this is the miniatures builder. I think they have a different name for it, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. And I wanted to go through a few things. First off, the amount of species. So we have the ape folk, which just got added in, the collie folk, husky folk, which are just dogs. I guess I could click on these as I talk about them. Dog folk, wolf folk, very similar. Satyrs, raccoon folk, which I don't love this one. And that stresses me out a bit. I love raccoons. They're one of my favorite animals. That it doesn't let you color the face as two tones. Like you don't get the raccoon mask. And I'm sure there's a way in the clothes to get a mask. Like you could just put something on the raccoon. This is very I understand I'm getting distracted, guys. I'm sorry. You can't put anything great on the raccoon though. Honestly, none of these fit the face very well. So you know what? I think I'm valid in this issue. Because you can't get a good raccoon mask either. Bad folk, humans, obviously, elves, cat folk. So like the tabaxi from D&D, lion folk, half elves, dwarves, elementals. I love this hairstyle. I've used that on a gnome once or twice. Bugbears, gnomes, maybe my favorite race in D&D. I love a gnome. Trolls, very stocky fellas. Half orcs, halflings, love a halfling. Half demons, which is like the tiefling that you would have. A half dragon, so a dragon folk, dragonborn, a dragonborn. Anthrocanine, anthrofeline. This might be closer to the tabaxi than anything else. They also have great descriptions for everything. Rat folk, which I wish was an option for D&D, because I love the idea of playing a little rat guy. Maybe make them like 1.5 feet tall or 2 feet tall. Minotaurs, which are pretty sick. I've never seen somebody use one of these in D&D. Turtle person, so the turtle. Paco folk, that's pretty sick too. Playing as a crocodile would be really fun. Lizard person. Raven folk. Fawn, which is similar to the satyr. Oh, they're the same. Wait, what's the difference between this and satyr then? Let's go back up here. Because we've already seen a satyr. Right? Yeah. What the heck's the difference between the fawn and the satyr? This is a crazy thing to ask. And I understand, Hero Forge has a lot. Is it just like the hair? Because honestly, you could just customize horns and stuff in the menu. Forest Guard, which I don't remember what this race would be called in D&D. They have something similar to this. Elephant Folk, Fairy Tale Goblin, which I love this. Like, this guy is the aesthetic I'm going for in a goblin. Like, I understand the Feral Goblin has its own, like, aesthetic, but I love a Fairy Tale Goblin. That looks so much better to me than that. And then zombies, I think these look sick. I've used some of these, like the damaged arm and stuff, playing as a reborn in D&D. A skeleton, a goblinoid, which I think these look better than the feral goblin also. The hobgoblin, a robot. I like this. I do wish there was a option for a bulkier robot, because I feel like these guys are very skinny, and I think you can change the body type, obviously, but like, it would be nice. Like, that looks fine. That looks okay. That one's really tall. Full body. But I do think it would be cool to have a better option for size for the robot, but I think this one would work okay. This one to me is just too small for what I would want from like a Warforged. We gotta go. Oh, I scrolled down too far. Rabbit folk, which I love the rabbit folk. I love a Herringon in D&D. The half giant, aquatic humanoid, so like a sea elf. Morfolk, which is really sick. Centaur, the orc, kobold, naga, which are really cool. I love the design of this. Serpent folk, which are very similar to the naga, just with a different head. Fog folk. I love this, and I'll show you in a moment. I made a couple of custom fog folk for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and I love them. The Giggle Dog and Infernal, which is just a devil. A Celestial, a Fox, I like that guy. Bear, Alien, Insect, Weaver. Look at that spider dude. That is terrifying, right? Elk, Beast Folk. This reminds me of one of the guys from Sakamoto days. He has a big elk head. Fennec Fox. That one's adorable. I love this little guy. I wish there were more animal options. And I know what you guys are saying. I could play Humblewood. But Humblewood doesn't. I don't think they have foxes, at least in the core book. I own the core book, and I don't think they have foxes. The Four Claimer, which are so cool looking. It's from Fool's Gold, which I don't know what Fool's Gold is, but it says the skin is carved with glowing lines resembling circuitry, which connect the Four Claimer's augmentations to their power crystal if they possess one. I think that's really cool. This guy, which reminds me of those crystal dudes from Elden Ring. And then just some animal options. If you want to get a familiar or something, a miniature, they have so many options for that. I will say, if you're getting a miniature for your familiar, unless you're trying to just match the same aesthetic as your player miniature, I wouldn't suggest using Hero Forge. Like, I love Hero Forge. But my issue with Hero Forge is that it would be so much cheaper to just buy an animal miniature. I don't think you're getting much from using one of these. And they also don't have the different color scheme for the raccoon. I know I skipped past it, but I looked for a second. Why was it doing that? Chihuahuas? Finnick foxes? Oh, the Doom Duck is really cool. If you want to make a duck as like a BBEG, that would work. Or at least a villain. I guess BBEG might be taking it too far. I love this little guy. Because penguins are my favorite animal. And this is such a good mini. I need to find a way to get penguins into my campaign because I think technically they're not in D&D. But I need to just homebrew a penguin. And then the toad is where we'll end off on. Now, we're going to go all the way back up. And just go to our default human. Which I understand I could have typed in human here. But I didn't. And there's a lot of head options. You can do different face shapes. There's a lot of options for face shapes. We're not going to spend time on that. You can do the different areas of the head. So there's a lot of customization here, which is one of the best things about Hero Forge. You can do different hairstyles. I have early access to these hairstyles, so I probably want to spend time on them because I feel bad about that. The cotton candy hair is one that I really like right now. And then if you want to go with like the emo hairstyle, the short swoop to the side, you can do beards. I do wish that they had interconnected beards better. I think they used to do better with it, but I mean, that still looks good. I mean, it looks solid. I think good might be an exaggeration. I like it. I think it looks sick. I think this one looks better. The hair on top doesn't match, but that's okay. We're not making a character. You can do different proportions on your body. You can add wings and stuff. You can add tails. A snail shell. That's pretty sick. Portal shells and stuff. They have a lot of clothing options, so you can do entire outfits. So like I want to use a character with this walk outfit with the overalls because I think that's pretty sick. But there's like armors, and I think the human's the perfect one to test this stuff out with because it's always going to look okay on a human pretty much. But there's so many options here. There's some that I'm a huge fan of, but mostly they're like suits and stuff. I really like the suits and stuff because I like to play characters that are a little fancy. So like the entertainer's clothes look pretty sick to me. And then there are some legitimate suits here. If I can find them, that would be cool. Like these guys. Gunslinger clothes, the magician's costume, a suit and tie. I love having a character that's just informal wear. I think it's pretty sick. There's a punk uniform. You can have Santa Claus. I think that's really fun. I feel like Santa is a character that is often inserted into TTRPG campaigns, and it just makes sense to have him as an option. I think there was a Jester's outfit. I love this guy. This guy? That's sick. Um, and then you have just other customization stuff, so you can do masks. This is not the perfect guy to do a mask with, but there's a lot of different hat options and stuff. Like he can have a ball cap. And I just love how customizable the clothes are. It's so easy to make your character look unique here. You can customize the chest, the hands. I love to put like gloves on all of my characters because I feel like if I was in a fantasy setting, I would be wearing gloves for some reason. And then there's just a lot of gear. So like you can give this guy a pepper box pistol. There's a steampunk shotgun. There's hammers, bones, flowers. Like there's so many. It doesn't have to be a weapon. That's just a regular gun. Swords. I think there's a really cool sword right now that I don't remember where it is. But there are some sick options for what your character could be holding. The Staff of Doubt from Fantasy High, one of my favorite D&D campaigns, the Elven Battle Sheet. Also from Fantasy High, the Infaithable Base. There's just some awesome stuff there. And honestly, my favorite thing is going through the weapons, probably. Like, there's so many cool things. Wingmaster's Baton. I want to do like a circus act in one of my campaigns soon, and I think that would be a lot of fun. There's fencing swords, the Monarch sword, which might be the really cool one I was talking about. I love how that looks. And then you can do this on both hands. There are double-handed weapons that you can pick, or you can have them wielded single-handed, which I like that option for the bigger weapons because sometimes I want to do a BBEG that kind of breaks the rule of this is a double-handed weapon because their strength is so high, which I understand that isn't necessarily a thing in D&D, but if I want it to be, it kind of is. So then you can do things on the side. So like this umbrella, it's pretty much the same items. A candy mace, full-on gun again. You can do back items, which I think are pretty sick. So like capes and stuff like that fall into this. Oh, that's back. These are back items, which would be like the same things you have in the hands and sides and stuff. You can give them wings, which there's some really cool looking wings on here. And then little details. So like earrings and nose rings. Like that dude could have a nose ring. He looks like a hipster now. A wing on the side of his nose. Belly button wing if you really want to go that far. Normally you can't see my players' belly buttons, but I think there's been a couple of characters that I've played that you can see the belly button. And then you can have them posing. So we're going to have him. No, not that guy. We're going to have him with his hands up because he's not holding a weapon right now. You can pose the face in an advanced way so he could be like smiling with affection. And then you can change the limbs and stuff to be slightly different. You can change the stage that they're on so you can add stuff. So like a jawbone. There's a lot of options to add here. Like look at that. You can add a full second character if you really wanted to. I feel like it takes up too much room, and that's ridiculous to me. But you can add a full second character. You can have him riding on something, so like this slug. I don't love it, but you can have him on the slug. I think I just messed everything up. That's okay. You can change the base to have like a different material, so like a textured base. And then you can kit bash, which I have not done much with kit bashing. But you have to take a quiz and stuff. I'm not doing that right now. It's pretty much adding stuff to the miniature. It's complicated. We're not going to do that right now. But one day, we'll kit bash. We'll learn. Because you can like add stuff in where it shouldn't be able to go. And then there's coloring, which there's so many different options. I like the aquatic, subterranean, infernal. They're all really good. You can also click the little gear thing up here and get more options. So you could change anything you wanted to on here, which sometimes I will use this menu if I want the character to be like a weird color or something. And then you can do the same with the theme. So we could change him to look however we want. That is kind of crazy. I like the chromatic chaos ones. This one's really good. This one, I think, makes the most sense though. And then, yeah, you have customizable options again. And then you can have decals and stuff. Like you can change the beard. Just adding patterns and dye and stuff like that. I do really like that. That's pretty sick. I didn't realize you could dye the hair now. I learn things all the time on here. I might dye somebody's hair after this video. And then you can change like their pants. You can put blood splatter on them. There's so many cool things you can do with this. Different paints. So if you wanted to, you could click like leather and then you could paint a specific thing. So like this other thing, like in themes, if you click this, you can change the entirety of that type of cloth. But if you want to use paints, you can change only a specific part. So it makes it a lot easier if you want to customize like a part of the short. So if you wanted that to be blue on the sleeves or something, I don't know why you would. But if you wanted it to have blue sleeves, you certainly could. The issue then becomes matching it afterwards, but that's okay. I think there is an undo button there. And then you can mix paints, which is pretty sick. And part of the beta is you can light the character, which I would not do. But God, that hair dye looks so sick. I wish I had known about that making one of my last characters. And then there's share options, so I can do portraits and tokens and stuff because I am a you can do different styles because I am a premium member on here. And I don't know if that is locked to the premium members, but I believe it might be. But you can just do the default loading screen if you want to, because all of these change the style of the character. So like this would make him a cartoon. Even the dog backdrop, put some shadow and stuff on him. Or changes the shadows. So instead, you could just go in here and change the backdrop that way. And then your character is going to look the same. So that's a really cool thing you can do. And then you can put tokens. So if you're using like a VTT, you could make a token of your character instead. And you can do different rims of the tokens, different backgrounds. There's some cool things to do with tokens. I do like tokens. I have not gotten to play any VTT yet though, which is kind of sad. And then the last thing is we do have themes. Oh, yeah, scenes. I'm sorry. So scenes you can change like the different backgrounds and stuff. I don't need a scene. We're going to just go here. But the thing that I wanted to show you, the thing that I've been most excited about and has taken us probably 20 minutes to get to, is my favorite feature on here. So that is the type of mini I've been buying. There's a few different mini options. You can get keychains now, which I did not know this existed. That is actually pretty cool. So it's using the same technology as the standees, and you can attach it to like your backpack and stuff like that. And then you can do a steel mini, which is like the premium mini. It's $50. It's stainless steel, and it gives you that feeling of the like retro mini. Then you have color plastic, which this is what I see a lot of people buying from Hero Forge. Color plastic is what my first couple of Hero Forge minis were, and they are expensive. This is 3D printed with colored I don't know if it's resin or filament. I'm assuming resin. I don't know though. It might be a filament printer. But they're not painted. They're 3D printed. And to me, that can make the mini look a little dull. And I might be able to show an example of that. So I'm going to add a picture in of this miniature that I own. And then I'll add a picture of the miniature that I want to talk about in a moment so that you guys can get a reference. But I feel like the colors get very muted after you print in the color plastic. And then a new thing that they have is a color statuette, which is twice the size of the standard color plastic. And it's pretty much a statue for you to display your mini. It has a lot more detail than the smaller version. And then they have premium plastic at $30. I'm skipping this one for a moment. Premium plastic at $30. Plastic at $20. Antiqued bronze is $100. So this is the premium one. There's no layer lines. It's 100% bronze casting, made from pure bronze, and pretty much a keepsake thing. So you could get this and play with it on your table, but most people are getting this as a display thing. And then STL downloads. If you have a 3D printer, you could just buy the STL for $8 and print it yourself. And then the 3D digital. So if you're using a VTT like Tailspire, you could just buy this digital mini, which is what I think Dimension 20 did for the campaign The 7, which I think they did a really good job in Tailspire there. But what I wanted to talk about is the color standee. We are going to change this guy's pose for a second because it is killing me right now. That's worse. Huh. That's fun. Okay. Oh, I can just get rid of that. So we're changing this just because I don't want to pose him like that and what I'm about to do. So we're going to put him back in Pugilist. And we are going to do a color standee. So these are $13, which is an incredible price. And what you do is you pose him how you want on the front, And then I always flip to the other side. I normally have stuff on the back of my character too, so this really helps, just to see what it's going to look like from the other side. And this is a clear acrylic with front and back printing. Very durable. I've dropped these a lot. It arrives with the mini in the base, and it's a lot easier to ship that way. They pretty much put it in like a manila envelope. And it's 30 millimeter scale with a 1 and a 16th inch base. And I think these look incredible. Like, I really like the color standee. So I have a color standee that I'm going to be putting a picture of. This color standee, you might notice, is the exact same character as the colored printed mini I bought. But I think the color just looks so much better on the standee because it's still that very vibrant color. Like I said, the color plastic is going to come out a lot more muted than the color standee is. But I do like the idea of the acrylic keychain. If you have a character that you just want to carry on your keychain or your backpack or anything, maybe to your D&D game on your D&D backpack, I think this is a really cool thing to have. Honestly, if you want to get a keychain of all of the characters you've ever played, I think that would be really cool too. But that is what I love about Hero Forge. I think it is such a good miniature creator. And they have so much versatility, so many good options, and I like how they're just making it more affordable. The color standee only being $13 is incredible. That's cheaper than premium plastic or the regular plastic. The regular plastic is $20. So I love the color standees. I'm so happy that they've kept them for this long. And I'm so excited to buy my next one. I buy a lot of different minis from Hero Forge, maybe too many. Because I will buy my PCs, my player characters. I always buy my own mini. But then, since I've started DMing, sometimes I buy a mini for like a BBEG or something. And I think that's really cool. So I wanted to show off a couple, because I did say I was going to show off a couple. Anyways, so these are some Bullywugs that I made with the Frogfolk. So this is just a standard Bullywug. He's got a shield that looks like a turtle shell, which I thought was really cool. And then he's carrying a spear, because I believe that most Bullywugs use spears. And then this guy's kind of tactically dressed, which I think is really cool, because this is supposed to be like a regular soldier. And then we have a Bullywug Knight. This guy's carrying a glaive and has this cool like striped armor. I think the blue stripes works really well for the Bullywug. I love this look. It's one of my favorite like NPC minis I've ever made. And then lastly, I have the Bullywug Royal. So this is like the king of the Bullywugs, which is one of my favorite things about Wild Beyond the Witchlight, is that they have a king Bullywug. I think it's really cool. And then just some other minis I wanted to show off real quick. This is a mini for the flying monkey from Wizard of Oz. And my idea for this was that this like yarn ball is kind of like a magical net. So I think that's really cool. This is my mini for Baba Yaga, the famous hag, which there might be a better way to do Baba Yaga because, you know, she is supposed to be terrifying. I think the eyes are really cool. All of my fae have like a really interesting eye color. So hers shift between colors like a lot of my archfey do. And then I have a fancy Bullywug, which I forgot I made. He's just wearing a suit. I don't know where I would use this guy. Maybe if I like used a Bullywug as a player character one day, I could pull him out. And then the last mini I wanted to show off is this is a recurring character that pops up in my campaign. And he is a very powerful fairy. And I think he just looks sick. The wings look really cool. He has like that cotton candy hair, and I'm just a big fan of this guy. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like. If you have other miniature builders that you like to use, let me know in the comments. If you like Hero Forge, let me know in the comments. And other than that, guys, I hope everybody is having an amazing day. And until next time, peace.